Hola amigos and welcome to my cartel. Today I'm going to talk with you about the story how I get the first watch from my father. So for me, it's very emotional and very inspiring, and I hope it will touch you in the same way it's touched me, and in a moment you will understand what I'm talking about. So it was my 8 years old birthday. My father approached to me and tell me, son, here is your gift. So he gave me a watch without present box, without anything, just a used watch with a lot of scratch on it, and it's written Casio. So I look at my father and say, listen, I don't wear Casio, I wear only a P. So my father was so disappointed. I can't forget the look in his eyes. And he looked at me in a way that I saw that there is on his right eyes, a tear start to drop down. And then the tear go back to his eyes. And then he looked at me and slapped me so strong that my head keeps spinning. And then I put the watch immediately on my hand because I was scared. So what this story have to do with you? When I'm telling you to join to my cartel, you join to my cartel, or I will find you and I will slap you same way my father slapped me, okay? Hola amigos and welcome to my cartel. Today we're going to talk about the best dress watches for men. So the budget is between 100 bucks to 500 bucks, give and take, with some exceptions. Basically, if you want to see the shorter version of this video, you can look at the link below and click it, and I won't waste much of your time. But if you want really to get educated and know what exactly you're doing before you buying and why you buying it, you better stay and watch the entire video. Okay, so it's going to be long, but I think that there is a lot of stuff that you can learn, and please consider to join to my cartel. I can't emphasize it more. So after you start to read between the lines, I'm talking about cocaine lines. No, actually, I'm joking. No cocaine here. Okay. Okay, let's start, guys. Let's start. So. Okay, so the first thing you want to know before you buy the watch is to know what you're buying the watch for. So if you are a young cartel, want to go to the club and want to impress the muchachas, so you will wear most likely some kind of PVD gold with diamonds on it to impress the girls. So that will be considered to be a dress club watch, okay? But here we're not going to talk about dress club watch in depth, but just to show you that there is different type, okay? Another type could be urban watch, which is a subcategory for a dress watch, and you can find it, let's say, the more geeky kind of guys, people working like for the IT industry. So they might wear like dress pants with some t-shirt and maybe wearing sandals. They are a little bit more hipster. So urban watch could be fit more for this kind of guy. Now there is more sophisticated way to create impression rather than walk with a watch that having diamonds on it and gold and waving and showing like give me some space, I'm a member of cartel. That's not the kind of impression that you always want to create, because it can put you sometime in trouble, and I don't want to be responsible. I mean, I can be responsible, but I prefer not to. Okay, papi? So another way to be sophisticated and cool is just dress black and maybe put a red watch. This is a very nasty combination. I used it a couple of times, and I think it's like added me this little bit punchy finish, more flashy finish for my act. So for example, once I was in the airport and I was talking to this girl and I gave her a business card, And long story short, we end up in bed at some point. And she told me that the first thing she noticed was a red watch. And she says something like, guy with a red watch is basically somebody from the fashion industry. Basically, I'm not. As you know, I'm running a cartel. So she was wrong about that. But never mind, I achieved what I wanted to. So now it's not about girls. In general, I think, what is the almighty classical color harmony for a dress watch? Now, you might have different idea than I do, but over the years I came up with this decision that the most classical combination of colors will be a brown croco strap with a gold or maybe gold PVD case, and then the face could be something between white to pearl with engraving. We can go like more into depth. I love tourbillon, I love things of this nature, but for me and for my understanding, that's creating the strongest impression. Unlike the guy from the cartel that trying to show he have some diamonds on his hands, you know. So some of those watches in the real world can be highly priced. Something like Patek Philippe that I will show you here. This watch can cost about $1 million. I don't see any diamonds here, but there is a lot of complexity. So complexity is coming with a price, and that's one of the biggest reasons why you're not going to see me show you a very simple watch like this one at my top list, because that's not what dress watch meant for. So some guys might say, oh, I'm that simple modest guy. Oh, but I like simple. I don't like complicated things. I'm a simple guy. I sit in bed in the morning, I wake up and I have some erection, but there is no girls around. So you might be one of those guys, and that's okay. I have a room enough for everybody in my cartel, and maybe you will change and become a man one day, okay? There is channels, you know, that really love psycho, and there is this geek guy that have glasses like a bus, you know. The honorable mention I must give for this watch. It's really beautiful piece. My brother have one of these. Now, another way to be sophisticated with a dress watch is, let's say, I will avoid, for example, wearing the brand, like a brand name like Tommy Hilfiger, something like that. I will avoid wearing watches like that because everybody know more or less the price of the watch. So, for example, if you go with Ingersoll or maybe Graham or maybe other one of those companies that know that they are not a big fashion house, people can't actually determine the watch value, and when you want to impress, you basically want to avoid from you know, running with the tag price on the hand, right? If it's expensive and if it's cheap, you know, it's not always the right thing to do. In different countries, sometimes, you know, it can be even dangerous. So in Brazil, for example, if you wear an AP or something like that, you know, you're meeting the wrong guy in the wrong time, you might actually lose your hand. So let's say if I'm working like if I have like a job interview, or I want to work as the broker in Wall Street, and I don't have much money and I want to impress those motherfuckers. So the right way to go will be with a watch that includes some tourbillon inside. Now tourbillon nowadays, most of them expensive, but you can find like a real nice watch with a flat like a flat type of tourbillon that's rotating, and it's look like tourbillon, but it's basically not tourbillon. And most of you guys, I assume that 60 to 70% of you doesn't know even the difference between quartz movement to automatic movement, and not always remember which one is which. So tourbillon is like the more advanced kind of thing, and it's formally it's designed, I think all the time it's designed for dress watches, but or dress watches, or maybe artistic luxury sport watches. It will be a rare case, but that's possible too. So sometimes try to avoid, depending on what you're trying to achieve. If you're just looking for the design, so houses like Tommy Hilfiger, Filippo Loreti, maybe Emporio Armani, all these kind of nice you know, mid-range watch house, they can do very well for you. But if we're trying to impress, that's something you should avoid. So getting a watch with a real good automatic system like tourbillon, it will be very good if you want to impress in the right way, and not to be too much obvious with diamond and shit like this. So Let's move to the next one. So the next thing, obviously, it will be anti-scratch glass, guys. I can't emphasize more of it. Like, you can't wear a watch that after a couple of use you will start to have a scratch on the glass and then you look crappy and shit. Same way you are. No, I'm just joking. You are great. So just make sure you're reading the spec of the watch. And speaking of which, reading the spec, always try to wear the watch before you buy it. It means you need to go to a real shop. It's always helping. Then you can purchase it online if you want, if you find like a great deal later on online, so that's fine. But you know, you better feel it on the hand. And if you can't feel it on the hand, or you're too lazy, you can also watch like a YouTube review about the watch, so then you can see it in the actual. And you know, because nowadays, and this is like a very big topic, nowadays most of the watches, what they do online, they display you photo with a lot of Photoshop, with a lot of editing. So they showing you this beautiful watch and they triggering sell like that, you know. And that's unfair. There is a lot of unfair things in the watches industry, but this one is really unfair. So it's basically like you dating a girl that putting tons of makeup on her, you know, and you wake up in the morning and you see that it's not exactly girl. I'm just joking, maybe that's exaggerating, but you know that too much makeup, too much Photoshop is the same basically thing. So try to avoid that and see how the watch actually look. This is like great example to see here with the Citizen. You can see all this nice gradient, nice you know, finish, and here on the left side you can see how it's actually look in the morning. That's like the metaphor with the girl. So you get the point, right? Another thing that is extremely important, and this is this is a very common mistake. If you're a big guy, try to wear a big watch. If you're a medium guy, you can wear somewhere between medium watch to big. If you're a small guy, you can wear something between small watch to medium. I hope I make it clear. So a big guy wearing a small Rado watch, and this is very common, that would be like pretty awkward. So try to avoid that. Now, if you are a short guy and you're fat, which that might be the next question, so that will put you in the category of the medium or the big guy. It depends how short and how fat you are basically. But yeah, you're getting the idea. Sorry if I insult the fat, that was not my intent. But you know, this is the cartel, this is not a kid garden, so man up. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to talk with you, it's very important, especially if you're targeting to buy one watch or you have a budget for only one good watch. This thing you should take for your consideration, because PVD is basically the color of the watch, and this one coming up to 0.4 millimeter if I'm not wrong, maybe 0.44 at rare cases, and that's basically mean that there is some color that covering the original color of the watch. So over time it will give some scratch, over time the color will be removed due to different climate, blah 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 blah. So what you need to do in this case is, if you know that you want a watch that will last for a long time, you should look for the stainless steel color, you know, the natural color, or if it's not stainless steel, in some cases you should go for you know, silver color, and definitely not going for the gold, the black, you know, all these mix. So the next thing we're going to talk about is how to determine which one is which one is a quartz movement and which one is an automatic movement. And why it's important, because we get sick and tired from being robbed by watch manufacturers that want to take our money and destroy our cartel. That's a little bit creepy, but yeah. So we want to be like those pro guys that know what they're buying basically. So what we're doing in this case, we try to determine which movement is which one is battery and which one is automatic. So the battery one will be like a gear shooting a small gun, okay? Pam, 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 moving like so. And the automatic movement will be like Al Pacino shooting all over the place, like tack, 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 okay? So that's easy. You just look at the hands of the second, and then you know, quartz or automatic, accuracy of 99%. Okay, puppies? Now this one is come very cheap. For the time of making this video, this one cost about 127 bucks at the website. So it's very cheap. In terms of design, I really like it. I like the design, but I especially like the fact that the strap is in line with the case log area, so it's really nice and really smooth design. What I don't like about it, it's been made like with tons of Photoshop most likely, and the watch not going to look the same as what you see in the picture, more or less. Like all this Photoshop triggers sales, and this company is very good with sales. Now about the product, I think it's reasonable for the price point. It's pretty much reasonable, it's pretty much fair. So I can't go too much bad with them, and it's fairly designed. It's a nice design. It's inspired from Swiss watch house named Jaeger LeCoultre. Is a much more expensive brand, but it's very simple design. They don't like to mention too much numbers in some of their lines, but they have so many lines and so many complex lines. But basically I think that Filippo Loreti was targeting from this area. So if somebody doesn't understand watches, we look at this Filippo Loreti, the first thing is going to look, same as you going to, after you're going to listen to my videos, you're going to look at the hands of the second and the way it's moved. And once none of the big four luxury watch factory out there, Hublot, Rolex, Patek Philippe or AP, ever going to offer you a watch powered by quartz movement. So when Filippo Loreti is saying you're getting this luxury watch, don't believe this crap, because there is no such a thing, luxury watch powered by quartz, by battery. None of the big brands will ever offer you something like this. In fact, most of these big brands, they will manufacture their own movement, which I assure you will never be powered by battery. There is no such a thing. So they hiding this fact from you, amigos. Yeah, so most of these mid-range houses, they inspired by another giant of luxury watch, and they try to imitate more or less the inspiration lines or clone their style, or you can name it whatever you want, but that's the way it is. Like in the case of this Michael Kors, which is basically inspired by Rolex latest line. You can see the case, it's basically the same case like the Rolex Oyster. So Michael Kors designer house decided to go with this embossed leather strap and added it to a watch that by definition is a luxury sport watch. Rolex known for this kind of watches. They are much less known for dress watches. For dress watches, one of the big four, which is Hublot, AP, Patek, and Rolex, only Patek Philippe will stand out really loud for dress watches. Patek Philippe is more versatile, a little bit more brave. It's still traditional. I will say that out of these four, the bravest one will be Hublot, and it's also the youngest one. But we cannot expand talking about them because we're talking about dress watches. So in terms of sale, Michael Kors done the right thing. In terms of design, it's not make much sense, but most people that buy Michael Kors most likely know that they're buying the Michael Kors. Maybe the name is appealing to them, I guess. Not my pick though. The next watch we're going to talk about is Ingersoll, over 100 years old. It's founded in the US. It's been sold to a British company. The headquarters is Hong Kong, and the production line most likely is in China. Now what is great about this watch that it's powered with automatic movement, including integrated fake tourbillon inside. So this watch have automatic sole. It's basically a Chinese sole, but it's still a sole, and it's better than no sole at all, right? So the hands of the movement will run very smooth here, like automatic watch, because it's automatic movement. In terms of the design, you got the brown crocker strap with the gold PVD and gold, maybe pearl color engraving. It's basically perfect. The numeric font used for this watch, I think they could done better job using maybe Roman style, but they use modern style, which is still fine. In design you can be a little bit more flexible. It's not the deal breaker for me. So overall, perfect balanced watch. So if you're asking a girl in the street or a guy that have average understanding of watches and try to ask for the price point for this watch, he will estimate it way more expensive, something like $5,000 at least, I guess. And you can compare it and match it with any watch in this list, and this watch will always win over the price tag that people think it might actually worth, when basically the price range is somewhere between 300 to 500 bucks. At the official website it would be 500 bucks, but I think if you can find it like way cheaper at eBay, maybe Amazon UK or Amazon Germany, you can find like way cheaper. So just look for a good deal. Let's move now to the next watch. Artistic luxury watches is a complete different area that we're not going to cover today, but this watch here, it's going to be a great option. The only downside for me here is the name, Guanqin. It's not very appealing for European countries or for the US, but it could be a great solution for somebody live, I don't know, in Indonesia or China or whatever, so nobody going to care that much, and that's watch can give you the same impression like any other watches. I assume that the movement here it's quartz, but at this price point nobody cares. So let's move to the next one. So the Square Armani, basically the inspiration line for these watches and the most known signature one will be Cartier, which will be the more leading for this kind of style of watches. I include this Armani because I think Armani make great designs, and this is very good option for people that like square watches. I think it's a little bit too old for maybe over 60 guys, viewers that we have. If you want to get like something that is more classical and more to your age range, so the square is the way to go. I just mentioned here on the left side that there is Guanqin, the same brand that we talked about before, that offer you almost the same kind of a design with much cheaper price. So that's alternative. Okay guys, so Fossil is one of the biggest major companies in this industry basically, and they offered very nice quality with very nice and affordable price. Somewhere around 150 bucks you can get these watches. It's ranked one of the top seller for the dress watch division. It's pretty much classical. This style can last for a very long time, and you can't go wrong with this design here. So I don't have much bad things to say. The only thing I will say, if they wanted to make it perfect, they should go with crocodile pattern here, and that's basically it. That will be a pretty much perfect watch, maybe with gold PVD to go with the classical Armani, but still yet it still look great. And this watch can basically, because it's used the natural stainless steel, it can last much longer in terms of resistance, because the PVD won't be washed away over time. The next brand we're going to talk about is Hugo Boss. Now, weirdly, with Amazon, this brand doesn't do well, but I saw them in tons of shop and they're doing very well. So I really appreciate here that they, like in the case of the Fossil and like in the case with Filippo Loretti, the Hugo Boss, they also make sure to inline the strap within the case, which is important because it's very aesthetic for my opinion. In terms of reliability, I assume that they are reliable watches. I don't know about the spec of the anti-scratch glass, if they provide it or not, and that could be a deal breaker. I think it's a deal breaker for any watch. If you're wearing a watch without anti-scratch on it, or that will be an issue. So great design. I don't have anything bad to say about them. On the left here, the left watch here, I didn't like much that they include the numbers, but that's doable. That's possible. That's something you can do, and it's especially I guess that they get inspiration for this piece from Omega. Omega like to do it a lot, so that's it for it. Not too much to explain. So the Tommy Hilfiger is the next brand we're going to talk about, and basically what they done here, if we can took the part of the strap here and put it right on the right side, and took the structure of the watch, especially of the numbers, and copy paste them to this watch here, we would basically have a winner. But since they didn't do that, that would be debatable a bit. Both of them looks great. It's powered by quartz, like most of the watches here in the division, so that's why for me it's not so appealing. But in terms of design, Tommy Hilfiger offer a very fair and very nice design, especially the one here on the right. It looks like really almost perfect. So that's a watch that you should consider for sure. The price point for these watches are really affordable, and that's really great. Let's see what else we have. The last brand we're going to talk about. So Sterling, it's basically a German-based brand, I guess, just by the name. I didn't even check, but I assume that a name like this must come from Austria or Germany or something like that. So most likely for the price point, I think it's displayed at Macy's. So for this price point, it should be made in China, of course. I assume it's automatic because it's have this fake flat tourbillon integrated with. This one costs around 150 bucks. The one on the left is a little bit more artistic one and more simple one, and the one on the right is a little bit more impressive. Obviously, I will take the one from the right. So it's much cheaper than the Ingersoll. It's not exactly the same design, but it also includes some element from the skeleton watches. So you have skeleton, you have automatic movement, and you have a fake tourbillon rotating clockwise, which is nice. You know, for 150 bucks you can't go wrong, and that's a great deal. So this one is displayed within Macy's. So this one was I found this one at Macy's, and I think it's a great deal. The only problem here, the downside I can see here, the strap is not in line with the case, which make it look a little bit cheap. You know, they could do a little bit better with that, you know, closing this detail. But rather than that, it's okay. There is no Roman numeric on it. There is no any numeric on it. I'm talking about, so for the big face you can't see any Roman numeric, but you can see it on the sub dials, which is fine. You know, it's great. It's a great looking watch. It's a great looking watch. It's something you should consider. You know, it's very good. This one is very good alternative for the Ingersoll. You know, it's not so popular, but it's very good alternative for the Ingersoll. It's much cheaper, so that's something you should consider, guys. Let's see else what we have here. So now I'm about to announce my top pick, and I done it based on several criteria: spec, things like movement, but due to the price point, I didn't give it too much weight. So color harmony, sales rank, value, and my mother vision. That's what will be. None of these watches is permanent. I do weekly and monthly update based on comment and my research. So if you can feel free to disagree and live in my cartel, I don't care. All the watches here are beautiful, and I choose them carefully, like the best cocaina boutique lives from the mountain of Pico de Orzaba. So at my number 4 pick, I will go with Fossil. Make sure to check if this watch fit for your size. Last time I did it, it was too small for me. Another downside is the name of the brand. Not good if you want to impress. Rather than that, the design value are great. It especially look great without the PVD, which it means it's going to last you for a very long time. Third pick, I will go with Hugo Boss. Basically, Amazon don't like them, but I like them, and I went to many physical shops to see them. I never actually purchased one, but I can tell you one thing for sure: they look great in real as much as they look at the photo. So there is not too much Photoshop going on there, okay? So for my second pick, I choose Tommy Hilfiger, and the reason why, it's because the color harmony is pretty much balanced. It's not perfect, but it's pretty much balanced, and they manifested the logo of the brand within the watch's hand, which is not obvious things to do. You know, you can't go too crazy with design, and this is a very punchy, nice, classic way to deliver a message, and I like that. I appreciate that. So at my number 1 pick, I don't want to glorify it too much. You know, I want to keep it simple. I want to keep it authentic. So that's my number 1 pick for this time, guys. When I started this video, my father had the small tears going down, and then the tears get back to his eyes, and then he slapped me so strong, you know. Now I'm feeling the same tears getting down from my eyes, and I'm looking for you guys. So subscribe to my channel.